Welcome to this year's graduate hooding ceremony. My name is Andy Bean. I'm the Dean of the Graduate School at Rush University. Well, this is not the way we thought we'd be celebrating this year. We're glad you've joined us for our virtual event. Even though it's almost cliche to say, this is an unprecedented time. In early March, Rush University leadership made the difficult decision to initiate remote coursework delivery and then subsequently to close the academic building and research laboratories. For didactic courses, this move to remote delivery was fairly complex and resulted in differences for both students and faculty. The initial odd, remote school feeling became a little bit more comfortable, while our personal lives became more complex. Laboratory-based experimental research requires access to the laboratories, and as the experimental phase of this work stopped, students used the time efficiently to analyze and write up their work. The resiliency of all students in the graduate college, at Rush University, and at universities around the world was on full display for the last month or two and was truly remarkable. The very definition of resilience is on display here today. It's the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or cope in spite of setbacks or barriers. Resilience is a measure of how much you want something and how much you're willing and able to overcome obstacles to get it. It has to do with your emotional strength. And the graduates you see here today have that kind of resilience. It's going to help them immensely moving forward with their careers. Since 1981, Rush University's Graduate College has celebrated our students in many ways. Today is a celebration of success, the hooding of our graduates. While the origins of the hooding ceremony and the donning of academic regalia are unknown, it's believed they originated in the 12th and 13th centuries in Europe. Medieval scholars wore robes for warmth while working and studying in unheated monasteries and libraries. While the regalia are practical, robes were soon considered academic dress that denoted rank and stature. Although there's no definitive information regarding when academic robes became symbolic, or which American institution first began using regalia to denote degree attainment, robes and hoods today recognize the scholarly career and field of learning of each graduate. While modern-day undergraduates wear robes and caps, those with master's or doctorate degrees are presented with hoods to show their continued pursuit of knowledge. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Vincent Peereboom, who's professor of cellular and molecular physiology and neuroscience at the Yale School of Medicine, as well as director and fellow of the John B. Pierce Laboratory. Dr. Peereboom attended New York University College of Arts and Sciences, where he received a baccalaureate degree in biology and chemistry. He then attended NYU's Graduate School of Arts and Sciences and received his doctorate of philosophy in neuroanatomy and neurophysiology. Dr. Peereboom then became a National Science Foundation and Fogarty International Fellow at the Nobel Institute for Neurophysiology at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden. After Sweden, Dr. Peereboom received further training and became an assistant professor at the Rockefeller University in New York. Soon thereafter, Dr. Peereboom joined the John B. Pierce Laboratory at Yale, where he became director in 2018. And where he continues to conduct his scientific research to this day. His research is directed at engineering methods to monitor and affect brain activity using a combination of light and proteins isolated from ocean creatures. In this regard, he's the scientific director of OceanX, a nonprofit with which, over the past 15 years, he's conducted research on ocean expeditions across the globe. He has founded both a biotechnology company, Marinus Pharmaceuticals, and a medical diagnostic company, Affinimark. Dr. Peereboom also serves as research associate for the American Museum of Natural History and on the scientific board of directors of the Mystic Aquarium. I can think of nobody better to address graduates in the current climate, where resilience and the ability to cope with a meandering career pathway are especially important, than Dr. Peereboom. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Vincent Peereboom.
Can everyone hear me? Good. Well, first of all, let me thank you, Andy, for that kind introduction. Let me welcome you all here, and I'd also like to thank Andy for inviting me here today. I'm humbled and I'm privileged to speak to you on such an important day of your lives. Can I also say that I really love this avatar speaking thing? I tried to find a Brad Pitt avatar, but he was busy giving press conferences as Tony Fauci. I can't really tell, but I'm assuming everybody's laughing hysterically right now. The first thing I would also like to say is congratulations for a job well done. First, you chose to pursue an honorable profession of truth-seeking, and I'm here to say, in my humble opinion, no matter how things might look right now, you made the right choice. In fact, the world needs you now more than ever. Biological and medical sciences will need to play an important role in plotting the way out of this current mess. And this isn't the end of the world. We're all going to get through this. Personally, I'm thankful that I made the choice to spend my life studying the natural world. As you all are certainly aware, the major distinguishing characteristic of humans, in my opinion, are their oversized and advanced brain. Now, sometimes when you watch the news, it may appear that we humans are not really taking full advantage of our big brains. But in total, humans have used rational thought and scientific exploration to elevate our lives, to radically improve our life expectancy, decrease infant mortality, and really do wondrous things. Driven by a moral compass, humans such as yourselves have dedicated their lives to making the world a better place. This may sound like a cliche, but it is not. Progress does not happen by accident. It requires the thoughtful, rational, and directed actions of many, many people making contributions across a range of disciplines. I'm glad I chose to join the ranks of scientists and the medical professionals. At this later stage in my life, and hey, I'm not that old, I can reflect somewhat on my life, and I do feel strong satisfaction that I dedicated my life in the service of the greater good. However, I was not always certain of the correctness of my choice, certainly not when I was where you sit today. I grew up in Florida, and from my earliest memories, I knew I wanted to be a biologist, specifically a marine biologist. I was certainly not alone in that feeling. What kid hasn't swam in the waters of a coral reef and not wanted to spend as much possible time in such an amazing place? The ocean offered a beauty, a mystery, and a grandeur that, frankly, my life at the time really lacked. When I was 11, my father, who had already suffered as a child from a neurological illness, polio, was rapidly becoming ill with a second neurological disease, multiple sclerosis. After having his leg amputated as a teenager, he made his way through chiropractic school and managed to achieve some financial stability for our lives down in Florida. This was way above that of his parents, who immigrated from Italy at the turn of the century. In spite of having only one leg, my father never seemed handicapped or even impaired. Quite the opposite. He was an adventurer, a scientist at heart, and an explorer. But now at 11, I had to watch as his very vitality was drained from his body by the disease. This infuriated me, and MS became my enemy. I swore to spend my life attacking the illness. And so my dreams of becoming a marine biologist faded away. My father ultimately died of MS several years later, and that only solidified my resolve. I think anger and frustration can be the mother of invention and can lead to progress if correctly directed. I managed to parlay a rather mediocre high school academic record into admission to NYU, and God knows really how that happened. Thanks to a collection of federal grants, student loans, and the work-study program, I managed to make it through college, again with a less than stellar record. However, in my defense, I worked 8 hours a day, 7 days a week to afford tuition and the vermin-infested closet that passed as a loft in New York City in the mid-'80s. Nonetheless, I never felt happier than the day that I got my first job volunteering at Cornell Medical School as a laboratory technician. I was finally given access to a professional laboratory with exotic equipment, brilliant scientists, and a wealth of knowledge. That short-lived internship would change my life. I felt at home working in the lab, experimenting, failing, but ultimately succeeding, making small but real discoveries about the natural world. That internship led to authorship on papers and an invitation to graduate school at NYU. I finished a PhD in neuroscience and was on my way. The next stop was Stockholm, Sweden, for a postdoc at the Karolinska Institute. That is where I met your excellent dean, Andy Bean. We shared a short but intense time together as two Americans trying to survive in a foreign land. Okay, so maybe that's a little dramatic. Sweden, after all, it's not really much of a hardship. Anyway, after that, And to make a very long story short, I went to Rockefeller University in New York and finally took a professorship at Yale University School of Medicine. My professional life has been nothing but a blessing. I've been able to pursue my dreams and in some small way hopefully make a difference. And I landed a sweet job at a great university. However, my professional life was far from settled. In 1962, 2 years before I was born, a Japanese-American scientist described a fluorescent material extracted from a jellyfish in Friday Harbor in Washington State. That substance turned out to be green fluorescent protein. In 1994, Martin Chalfie's laboratory demonstrated that GFP could be expressed in other animals, and they also became fluorescent. This finding, which ultimately led to the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2008, would revolutionize modern biomedical science. When I heard about GFP in the early 90s and its marine biology origins, it reminded me how I once wanted to be a marine biologist. And this was my chance to maybe get my feet wet again. That tiny protein would become the inspiration for me founding the first of 2 biotechnology companies, Marinus, which I named after the sea, and led to an encore career for me studying fluorescence and bioluminescence in the ocean. This in turn led me running a number of underwater expeditions across the globe over the past 19 years. My laboratory now specializes in converting glowing proteins from ocean animals into tools to study the electrical activity in the brain in efforts to treat spinal paralysis, amongst other diseases. This research, in turn, gave me the opportunity to assume the role recently as vice chairman and chief scientist of a research and media company called OceanX. Now I spend my days exploring the oceans for glowing animals and creating ways to image the brain's electrical activity for DARPA. But I also had an international team that travels the world on a massive research vessel called Ocean Explorer, doing science and making documentaries with the likes of Disney, National Geographic, BBC, and James Cameron. What a life. I never imagined my choice to go into biomedical science would lead to such an exciting life. I think it's really impossible to know where your life will lead you as you sit here today. If you told me when I was graduating college that I would explore the underwater world in a submarine, chase whales in a helicopter, and do night dives with a reformed headhunter guide while in the Solomon Islands, I would say you're crazy. But I don't think that if you let your curiosity and passions guide you, amazing things can happen. The world may look a little unsure at the moment, but the world needs its biomedical scientists more now than ever. It needs you to apply what your professors here at Rush imparted to you. Being a scientist is a wonderful way to explore the natural world and make great contributions to making the world a better place. So I want to finish up here by giving you 2 bits of advice I've learned. I mean, this is a commencement speech after all, so I really can't resist. I have found that for me, to be the best neuroscientist I can be, I needed to look to the natural world to find inspiration and ideas. Virtually everything we have done in biomedical science has depended on adopting ideas, DNA, proteins, biochemical processes from the wider natural world. There would be no CSI Miami without polymerase chain reaction, and no polymerase chain reaction without some obscure microbes that live in boiling water in the Yellowstone or on the vents on the bottom of the ocean. We have been able to create miraculous synthetic micromachines by combining unique proteins found in sea squirts, coral, volvox, and flashlight fish. Unfortunately, the natural world is under assault. My favorite environment, the ocean, is not a happy place these days. Wherever I travel in the world, the effects of human exploitation of the ocean are evident. It's not only the polar bears and whales that are in trouble, but it's the small stuff, the invertebrates and the cnidaria. In addition to all the other benefits these animals provide us, their biology is exotic, amazing, and may one day save our lives. We scientists owe it to the world to keep informing the rest of the world about the interconnectivity of the world and how we need the diversity and complexity that exists in the world. It builds robustness and is like an enormous library of solutions for many of the challenges that humans face. The creatures that live on the earth today are the result of, in many cases, hundreds of millions of years of evolution, and they evolved amazing solutions to the biological challenges that cause disease and misery in humans. Each animal we lose is a loss of this extended and enormous background and cannot simply be replaced in a short time. Finally, the adventure of science can lead you to a range of different careers. Some may not be obvious to you at the moment, Some may be obvious to you at the moment, but some may not be. It led me to a professorship, but also to be vice president of a nonprofit and CEO of a biopharmaceutical company. Each of these professions were amazing and enriched my life. I encourage you to look at the wider world with which to apply your newly minted skills. When we make discoveries in the laboratory, they need to be moved into the commercial setting to be developed so they can ultimately help mankind. We need excellent and creative patent counsel to protect these discoveries so that they can be developed with less risk. Once developed, we need smart and motivated healthcare professionals to administer these modern treatments. Hey, why not start your own company? If I can do it, I'm certain you can do it. Each of these professions are necessary, valuable, and highly rewarding. To my amazement, even marine biologists can have a profound influence on humankind. So life is a great adventure, so enjoy. Thank you.
Welcome to the graduates of 2020 and to the faculty, staff, family, and friends. Thank you for attending this evening's ceremony. To celebrate this occasion and to honor faculty that mentored graduating students, we asked graduates to share the name of a Hooder and/or special mentor whose name will be read as part of this ceremony. And to begin the evening, we will start by honoring candidates for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology. Would the candidates please walk to the stage, and when your name is read, please walk to the center of the platform to be recognized. You may dance or clap to celebrate this honor, and then you may be seated. Please line up to the right of the podium. Tanushree Adia, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Theodore Lord Agmapale, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Miranda Wilson Pham. Ted is also the Graduate College Student Council Biotechnology Service Award winner for 2020. Sarah Alam, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Sharon M. Arhin, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Animesh Barua. Raneen Khalid Barham, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Jeffrey Oswald. Esmeralda Cardoso Mendoza, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Carolina Marika Daniletian, candidate for the degree of the Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Avik Roy. Damian Ivan Farian, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Christopher Ferrigno. Christopher Michael Freeman, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean, Special Mentor, John Gallagher. Mitchell Thomas Heacock, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean, Special Mentor, John Gallagher. Jack E. Capes, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Noah A. Kahn, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Claudia Nicole Lowe, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean, Special Mentor, John Gallagher. Claudia is also the Graduate College Student Council Biotechnology Service Award winner for 2020. Arham Nihal, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Veronica Salcedo Ochoa, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Shreya Patel, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Dan Perdescu. Vaidik Patel, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Rodney P. Kwanzaa, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Jeffrey Oswald, and Rodney is the award winner of the Arthur Prankan Award for Excellence in Biotechnology for 2020. Thomas Matthew Swanos, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Drs. Jeffrey Oswald and Dan Perdescu. Natalia M. Sapenko, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Onyeka O. Umedi, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Marissa Lauren Wadwa, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean, Special Mentor, John Gallagher. Mateen Wardak, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Therese Zamora, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Biotechnology, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Please give a hand to the Masters of Science in Biotechnology candidates of 2020. Next, we honor the candidates for the degree of Masters in Clinical Research. Would the candidates please walk to the stage? And when your name is read, please walk to the center of the platform to be recognized. You too may dance or clap to celebrate this honor, and then you may be seated. Sarah M.H. Abu Mason, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Talha Ajaz, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Saif Al-Jamali, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Jafar H. Alward, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Chandrika Bandapalli, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Omid Benamfar, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Kelly Bowles, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Juan Del Cid Frati, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Parth Desai, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Philip Andrew Angen, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Ali Keshavarzian. Sarag Perez, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Pramod Gaikwad, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Chandler Gill, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Rafael Francisco C. Go, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Jorge Gomez, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Khushbu Gupta, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Thomas Holland, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Sami Hussain, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Raul Jadab, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Mohammed S. Khan, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Mohammed O. Khan, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Ahmed A. Kokila, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Annabelle Volkman. Ahmed, come to the front and celebrate. Thank you. Wang Win, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Estefania Oliveros Soles, Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Julia Maria Olson. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Aaron Lee Wegman. Tirth Ramesh Patel. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Kusha Paydari. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Brittany Ray. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Sarah Sansom. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Sumit Sohal. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Riley Sticka. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Sarah Sungerlu. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Rizwana Syed. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Sarah Tommy. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Yan Ting Wang. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Jessica Wilson. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Natalie Ann Wilson. Candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Clinical Research, hooded by Dr. Maria Levy. Thank you. Please help me congratulate the Master's of Science in Clinical Research candidates. Will the candidates for the degree of Master's of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences please walk to the stage, and when your name is read, please walk to the center of the platform to be recognized. You may dance, clap to celebrate this honor, and then you may be seated. Bashir Al-Nujadi, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Kostika Aloman. Nicholas Santos Armillo, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Joan O'Keefe. Doreen Bagar, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Ashley M. Berry, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Yoon-Sil Hum. Anise K. Faruqi, candidate for the degree of Master's of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Travis Staub. Anise is also the Graduate College Student Council Integrated Biomedical Sciences Service Award winner for 2020. Eilina Guerini, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Corinne Louise Hill, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Dan Nicholson. Ravi M. Patel, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Mehmet Altintas. Vivian Ramirez, candidate for the degree of Masters of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Please help me congratulate the candidates for the degree of Masters of Science in Integrated Biomedical Sciences. With the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, please walk to the stage, and when your name is read, please walk to the center of the platform to be recognized. You may dance or clap to celebrate this honor, and then you may be seated. Xiaobo Li, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Gabriela Lobato, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Dhruv Ranjankant Patel, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry, hooded by Dr. Kalipada Pahan. Imad Tarhoni, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Dr. Gupta, please walk to the stage as well. Therese Donna Garrigy, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Immunology, hooded by Dr. Vineet Gupta. You may celebrate. Andrew Armstrong, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Kelly M. Kagan, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Isadora Daphne Kalma, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. T. Celeste Napier. Daphne is also the Rush University Diversity and Inclusion Award winner for 2020. Salvatore Di Bartolo, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Carl Gunnar Gottschalk, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Drs. Avik Roy and Kalipada Pahan. Carisha Flora Robinson, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Lena Al Harthy. Matthew Lewis Russo, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Dan Nicholson. Matt is also the Dean's Award Leadership and Service Award winner for 2020. Catherine S. Ya, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Marcus Wimmer. Janet Zayas, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrated Biomedical Sciences, hooded by Dr. Andrew Bean. Janet is also the John E. Trufant Excellence in Graduate College Research Award winner for 2020. David Marmion, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Neuroscience, hooded by Dr. Dan Nicholson. Charlene J. Gamboa, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing, hooded by Dr. Renitha Julian. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Neil Chatterjee, and I'm a fourth-year graduate student in the IBS PhD program. I've had the pleasure of serving as president for this year's Graduate College Student Council. I'd like to take a moment not only to congratulate this year's graduating class, but to wish them the very best in their future endeavors. It's been a tremendous pleasure to get to know so many friends and colleagues over the past several years, and I'm excited and inspired by your accomplishments and paths forward. Each year, the Graduate College Student Council looks to celebrate student leadership as well as scholastic achievement, with a scholarship for master's students in the Integrated Biomedical Sciences program and the Master's in Biotechnology program. These students have been incredible student voices and have served as student leaders and representatives for the Graduate College and Rush University as a whole. I'd like to honor this year's recipients in the Biotechnology program: Theodore Agwemaple and Claudia Lowe. And this year's recipient from the IBS program, Anis Faruqi. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for all your dedication this past year. Graduation is obviously a time to celebrate our students for their achievements and scholarship, and to look forward to the next steps in their training, education, and careers. But graduation is also a time to celebrate the remarkable educators and faculty members that share in the journey alongside students. As students, we are very aware of the significant role and impact these educators have on our individual growth and progress, and recognize how fortunate we are to attend a school with so many faculty members of the highest caliber. Each year, the GCSC asks students to nominate or recommend faculty members that have dedicated themselves to the education and mentorship of Rush students. I have the tremendous pleasure of announcing this year's recipients of Teacher and Mentor of the Year. Our first recipient has been described as one of Rush's most captivating lecturers, someone who encourages students to think beyond the course material. Please join me in congratulating this year's Teacher of the Year recipient, Dr. Paul Carvey. Our next recipient was described by a student as an investigator who cares for and mentors his employees with humanity and grace, and listens to each trainee's career goals and aspirations. He's been described as someone who encourages balance and wellness with respect to students and trainees. That's something that we are proud to have advocates for in our lives in graduate education. It's my great pleasure to give this year's Mentor of the Year award to Dr. Vineet Gupta. On behalf of the Graduate College Student Council and the Graduate College Student Body, I sincerely thank you both for your steadfast dedication to students here at Rush, and I am so proud to be able to recognize your contributions and achievements.
Will all the candidates please rise? Please help me congratulate the Rush University Graduate College Class of 2020.
I want to thank everyone for attending this evening's virtual hooding ceremony. While we would have much preferred to celebrate with you in person, we hope you enjoyed this evening's event. Please stay safe and healthy. We thank the students, faculty, staff, Dr. Parabone, and everyone watching. Please stay safe and healthy. We look forward to celebrating with you at alumni events, all students, in the fall. Thank you very much.